My family comes from the Etna area, which was my grandfather, my grandmother were the DeVores. My aunt was, well, I also have aunt and uncle Fred and Elaine DeVore. I have Aunt Bobby Grimes, Aunt Mary Coble, Leonard DeVore uncle. So I have, if you knew on this end of the county, if you knew Bob Tarkington, well, I'm not related to him, but his son is my half brother. So, I do have relations there. And then my little brother, he taught at East Hickman as a band director for several years. So I have a lot of roots in Hickman County. My mother was Lila DeVore. She's obviously from here, her parents are. So, I went to elementary school here, 74, 75. So, I love it here. I've come here my whole life, visiting when I wasn't living here permanently. Mm-hmm. So that's just it. Family's here, so I wanted to settle down here. I was in the Marine Corps for 7 years. When I joined the Marine Corps, they sent me to San Diego. Well, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I got into law enforcement. I was on with the San Diego Sheriff's Department, County of San Diego for 11 years. Mm-hmm. My mother got terminal cancer, so I figured I could always make money, but I couldn't get time back. So I came back here, got an extra 14 months before she passed away. I'd got on with Metro when I came back, and I've been there for the last 11 years. So I've been in law enforcement a total of 22 years. I have a different experience because I'm not from here. Mm-hmm. I've worked in big city law enforcement. I've worked, rural areas. With County of San Diego is 4,200 square miles. At any given time, there was 700 deputies on duty. So there's a lot of area to cover. So there's different tactics that you have to use as a deputy than you do as a police officer, because as a deputy, your help isn't just around the corner. Yep. Then being with the police department, you learn urban tactics. So I have a combination of both now. I've worked in courts, I've worked in jails, because when I was with San Diego, you had to work jails before you could even go on patrol. Mm-hmm. And the jail that I worked at was for sentenced inmates ready to go to prison, escape risk inmates, and assaulted staff inmates. That's the only ones we had, all high risk. Mm-hmm. We had 1,500 inmates with 40 deputies. So you have to know how to talk to people, you have to know how to handle people, especially on a large scale. I've had all kinds of specialized training, which, none of that will tell you what I will do as a sheriff. Mm-hmm. It just tells you, okay, this guy went to a class for 8, 10, 40 hours, whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I've had the urban and the rural experience, mm-hmm. which I can combine. I pulled myself up out of the life that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. I own a home. We were very poor. My mother made a lot of poor choices, and I had to make a decision. Was I going to be like that, or was I going to go a different route? Mm-hmm. I made the decision to go a different route. Was it tough? Sure it was. Mm-hmm. But I pulled myself up. I put myself through college mm-hmm. while raising a family. But it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. I've been in situations where, I've got accommodation from the police department last year, or year before last, I'm sorry, where I was put in a situation where I had a mentally disturbed 16-year-old who was off his medications, wielding a knife. Legally, when he rushed at me a couple times, but there was a car between us. Yeah. and he would stop at a certain point. Could I have shot him? Sure. Would I have been justified? Yeah. But I didn't. I was, I was able to resolve the situation. We ended up tasing him. Would have tased. We were reluctant to tase him because he had a monitor in him. I forget what
Pacemaker?
Pacemaker is the word I'm looking for. So an electric shot with a pacemaker's not, it's not conducive.
Yeah.
Bad choice of word for electricity, but So, but if you look at it, okay, so if we shoot him with the taser, yeah, we risk him dying, but if we shoot him with lead, he's probably definitely going to die.
Yeah.
And at least with the taser, we try to use less lethal.
Yeah.
And fortunately it worked out. We ended up tasing him, and it worked out.
Yeah.
But and police, judgment calls. I make good judgment calls.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the Marine Corps, 19 years old, I was meritoriously promoted to a NCO, which is non-commissioned officer. I've gotten several commendations, but I've been to several leadership schools. Marine Corps Leadership School, NCO School, Leadership School, Sheriff's Department Leadership School, Metro Leadership School. So anybody can be a boss. I don't care who they are, you can be a boss. But not everybody can lead. And people are looking for someone to lead. And I think I can give that. And that makes a difference. Well, I would like to get into the schools and talk to the kids about drugs, bullying, teenage domestic violence. Because if we can stop some of those at that age, it won't carry on up here. So we want to get that early. I believe when we spoke at the other meet and greet thing, I would want to get a drop box for opioids. I believe that most opioids are stolen from family members. Now there are some who go doctor shopping, and that's a federal thing. They need to get a database so things say, oh, Joe Smuckatelli's already gotten his prescription for the month.
Yeah.
And that should be nationwide. But I believe that most opioids are stolen from family members, by family members that are possibly addicted. And what you do is, if you get this box and you let people know, hey, it's going to be at this event. If you're coming to this event, come drop it off so it's not in your house. Medications that you don't use anymore, expired medications, it gets it out of the house. Now it's no longer available for it to be stolen or abused. And you can hold events. It doesn't have to be a special event. You can hold events and say, hey, on this day, we're going to be having a drop-off event. Just come drop your meds off. I believe we could go around to the nursing homes, because those are folks that can't make it to the event. Go to them. Hey, do you have medications that you no longer use or expired? We'll go ahead and take them off your hands if you don't need them. So if you don't provide the source, it'll go somewhere else. It's like a stray cat. You quit feeding it, it goes away.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff, fortunately, they did. The commissioners have approved financing for SROs. Those SROs won't be ready this year.
Yeah.
So what we can do with the SROs that we have is, while SROs at School B, let's park an empty patrol car at School A. Now, nobody's going to know if there's an SRO there or not.
Yeah.
And so if that in and of itself would be a deterrent of anybody wanting to do anything within that school. They'll see that patrol car there. They won't know if there's a deputy there or not.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't cost the county anything.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that done. I'd like to looking into a senior volunteer patrol program. And you get qualified senior citizens. Anybody that works for the Sheriff's Department needs a background check, regardless of who they are or what they do. But if you get qualified senior citizens, and they have a vehicle that they can patrol in the county. They're not armed. All they do is report. They check doors for people on vacations. They go to seniors, check on welfare checks on other seniors. You know, this way, these kind of calls right here will free up deputies for criminal calls or more important calls. So I think that would be a cost-effective thing. And there's a lot of seniors who want something to do, and who would love to help. And like I say, they're unarmed, so they're not to engage; they're just to observe. The Reserve Deputy Program, I think, Reserve Deputy Program is an excellent program. You know, yeah, it's part-time deputies, but if they're trained and they do their hours, then it really shouldn't be a problem. It's those that you got to make sure they have the proper training, and it's those that, you know, they don't really want to do their hours. Then those are the ones, not the deputies that, you know, you want there. If you have to call and say, "Hey, are you working this week?" or then they're not motivated enough to be a reserve deputy. It's the ones that are motivated that you really want. And the ones, I mean, you have to make sure they're trainable. You know, there's people out there that they think they want to do it, and from what they see on the television, and they think that's real policing, and it's not. One way to describe policing really is maybe 99% or 97% paperwork, 3% sheer terror. You know? So, you know, I mean,
That's not everyone's cut out for that.
no, it's not for everybody, and unfortunately, in some places, you don't find that out until it's too late. Or, like, I don't believe in bad cops. I don't believe there's such thing as a bad cop. I believe when an officer does something that criminal, they're not a bad cop. They were a crook in a uniform, is what they were. Because things like that don't just come up overnight. It was always there. You need the mayor and the county commissioners. They have to bring revenue to the county. If they don't bring revenue to the county, then they can't provide infrastructure. You know, you need a mayor that knows how to go out and bring businesses in. Then you need a county commission that actually knows what they're doing to say, okay, they know something about budgeting, know something about business. You know, that way they say, well, let's base this decision. The problem is people base decisions on now. They don't base their decisions on looking ahead. So you need people who want to look ahead, not focus on the now. Yeah, if we do this now, is it a Band-Aid or is it a permanent fix? Is it a knee-jerk reaction? You know, or is it a necessity? And that's the kind of things that people need to look at. Those are the kind of people that they need to vote for. I don't personally believe that you can blame everything on a budget. You know, if you look at any government, they're never going to have enough money because it's easy to spend someone else's money. So if you rely on a budget, you're never going to accomplish anything. You have to use resources and think outside that budget. How can we do this without that budget? Like the patrol car thing. You set a patrol car there, that's not costing anything, but it's still deterrent. When the SRO's there, that's costing you hourly pay, insurance. And that, now, is the SRO a necessity? Absolutely, especially in today's world. But until you get to that point, you got to think outside the box to what's not costing you, but still somewhat fixes the problem. Maybe a temporary fix, but it's still a fix. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. So you got to be able to think on those terms. You can't have any excuses. I don't like excuses. I like resources. Mm-hmm. Let's do something. If you don't know, then you need to ask. Mm-hmm. You know, the Bible says, you know, seek wisdom mm-hmm. from others. So some people are, oh, I'm afraid. Oh, I don't want to ask this. I might look foolish. Mm-hmm. Well, I would rather look foolish for 5 minutes than a lifetime.
True.
You know, and so seek out those resources. Call other counties. Call major cities. Call their states. Hey, what are y'all doing to combat this? What are you doing to fix this problem here? How do y'all do that? Because to me, the dumb question is the one not asked. Mm-hmm. And that's how I think the voters should see. That's how they should see their candidates. Is this candidate one that, well, they shy away from hard stuff, hard decisions, abstain from voting because, well, if I make that and it goes wrong, then I'm not going to get reelected. Those are not the people you want. You want somebody that's going to make a decision, right or wrong, they mm-hmm. stand by it. Yeah. Okay? At the time, I thought it was the right decision. Didn't work out the way I planned it, but I did learn from it. We won't do it that way. Mm-hmm. So you got to be a decision maker.
Yep.
And that's how they should base their votes. Because they're looking for that first time. Mm-hmm. See, your first time at anything is that excitement. I don't care what it is. You know, that first time you ever did anything, you're like, whoa. The reason the drug is they're chasing that first time. Mm-hmm. And they're never going to get it. You will never get your first time ever again. The first time is the first time.
Yeah.
You'll get some similarities, but it won't be that first time. And that's what people are doing. They're chasing that first time that they're never going to get.
Yeah.
And that's why.
That's why. Why do they do it the first time?
Peer pressure. Mostly peer pressure.
Okay.
I mean, nobody ever goes and goes, hey, today I think I'll try heroin. You know? Usually it's somebody they're with. Mm-hmm. Somebody that, you know, they're hanging out with, or somebody they want to emulate.
Yeah.
So, and that would be my guess. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across like I do, but you know.
No,
you know.
Yeah. Different people's thoughts on it.
But
yeah.
that's what it is. I mean, I'm sure it's peer pressure. I mean, why do kids have sex? Mm-hmm. Peer pressure. You know, why do they do drugs? Why do they drink? Mm-hmm. They want to look cool in front of their friends. They want to be in the popular crowd. They want to be left out.
Yeah.
They're looking for acceptance. Mm-hmm. That's why. That's easy. Your sheriff's department, mm-hmm. it's incumbent upon them to get into the community. Mm-hmm. When they show the community that they care, then the community will care. Mm-hmm. If they show the community that, you know, they feel they're 10 foot tall and badge heavy, mm-hmm. then the community doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know, you can't drive by your community. You have to get out of that car and talk to people. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you will never solve crimes. Yeah. You will never accomplish anything. I don't care if you're Israeli intelligence. If you don't get out and talk to people, mm-hmm. you're not going to find out information.
Yeah.
And you can't just expect to grab a CI, confidential informant, mm-hmm. or someone like with a little bit of weed or a small amount of cocaine and say, look, I'm going to hold this over your head and I'm not going to prosecute you because I've got up to 1 year, but I need you to give me some information to do that. Mm-hmm. If you're good to people, I mean, sometimes you do need that information. You do need those resources, those CIs.
Yeah.
But you have the rest of the community you can't forget about. You know, the rest of the community are witnesses. Maybe one person saw a white truck parked in the wrong driveway.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't get out and ask those people, or if you don't treat that person right maybe you pulled that person over, like, and you were rude to them, and they said, "Oh, no, I didn't say anything."
Yeah.
But maybe you were courteous. They were like, yeah, deputy, I saw a white truck down there that looked like this, had rims like this. Now you have something to go on. When you have property crimes, and I've heard this a lot. When you have property crimes, they come out, they take a report, and that's it. People need to know how to. They need to be trained in working a crime scene, not just working a report scene.
Yeah.
And if they're trained and they're not doing it, then they're not following what they should do. Maybe, and another thing, you don't tell people, "Oh, we know who did it.
Yeah.
We just can't prove it." Well, if you can't prove it, then you don't know.
Right.
You may suspect, but if you can't prove it, you don't know. And you don't need to tell the people, "Yeah, we know who did it," because now you're telling them, "Yeah, I know who broke into your house, but I'm not going to do anything about it." It's all how you communicate everything to the community.
Yeah.
A visible presence makes a huge difference. Your attitude makes a huge difference on how you treat people. Even if you go to a burglary, you work that scene, you take the report. If you don't have anything, you don't have anything, but you still investigate it. And you call that person and go, "Hey, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but here's where we're at. We really don't have anything right now, but I just wanted to touch bases with you and let you know you're not forgotten about."
Yeah.
And that's all people are asking. That's going to be your word of mouth with the deputies that you already have.
Yeah.
"Hey man, how's it to work over there?" "It sucks. So why would I want to come be a reserve deputy?" "Hey man, how's it work over there?" "Dude, it's a really good place to work. Firm but fair. You learn a lot, you get good training, and they're fair to you." "Oh, okay. I like maybe check that place out." So it starts. That's where it starts. Then once your word of mouth is, you get good recommendations, then your pool will increase. And if you require your pool to just be from the county, then you're limiting yourself. Because you may not have as many qualified persons within the county that you need.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to, even though they may live outside the county and they want to work here, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So so that's what it's going to be. That's what it would come down to.
Yeah.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. But like I said, as far as crimes, if you want to stop crime, you want to lower crime, you got to get into the community. You need to have some community events that involve the sheriff's department. Maybe, hey, the sheriff's department is sponsoring a bike ride through Hickman County. Sheriff's department, hey, we're going to go in for a benefit, and we're going to go and talk to these people at this restaurant and see if they'll let us be the servers for a night, and all tips proceeds go to this benefit. Stuff like that, because you're in the community, and the community gets to see you other than.
Yeah.
And another thing is, the media. Law enforcement, the reputation is, everything they see about law enforcement comes from the media.
Yeah.
It's not what the media shows, it's what the media doesn't show.
Yeah.
They don't show the officers that reach out and buy groceries for people.
Yeah.
The officers that may go and see a homeless guy and go, "You know what, man, let me go get this guy a new pair of shoes."
Yeah.
Because officers don't go around and brag and advertise about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the media knows it's there.
Yeah.
But that's not the kind of stuff that gets them ratings. So anything negative they put on the police or law enforcement is what the general public believes.
Yeah.
And
we've seen that.
and there's I mean, you know, people talk about liabilities. Yeah, sure, there's liabilities in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it the way you're supposed to, and you're trained the way you're supposed to, then there's not really going to be a liability. Because if you do it away from what you're not supposed to, if you do it the way you're not supposed to and you went away from your training, the liability falls on you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so you can't use all that always as an excuse. And sometimes, you know what, you may have to take a liability to save a life.
Yeah.
You know, you may have to do something, but you can't just say, oh, I can't do that because of liability purposes.